And welcome back, everyone, to the last Gen USA versus Japan friendly. I am Makiri, Paul, aka Paul. With me is Aaron, Cybertron Zhang. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm good, Paul. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing quite fine. With us, in front of us, we have Trista Ryuzaki Medine versus Japanese player Boumanda. Hope I'm saying that right. Uh, Aaron, I know nothing about Boumanda. What do you know about Boumanda?
I know absolutely nothing, so yeah, interested to see how well this player is because I have literally never heard anything about him at all.
And so, yeah, I assume Junpei selected Boumanda. Is that correct, Aaron?
I do believe so. I'm not sure how they choose their players for these tournaments. I mean, it always seems like it's Junpei, Haryu, Gebebo, but then a bunch of others. I know the one with Korea was a lot. They had like all the high tier players. This one was kind of more laid back, relaxed, just for fun. So, not sure who this player is, but definitely interested in finding out. That's for sure.
That could potentially be among one of the strongest players that we've never heard of. Now, while we wait for them to get started, Aaron, how does it feel, to sort of exercise those demons and beat Ryosuke?
I mean, obviously, it's very rewarding. I wish could have happened at Worlds, but it was good. The first game, I don't know what I was doing. I kind of choked away that one turn where I protected my Heatran, and he managed to pick up a KO on Mammoth. So that was bad. And after that, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be bad. But games 2 and 3, I thought were really fun. Good set overall, and it's always nice to pick up a set and a victory after losing to someone, especially in such a big match like Worlds. So it was fun. I like this team a lot. I'm a big fan of Leopard, having used that to win a regional this year. I really liked it, and his Volcarona was definitely interesting. I saw the HP ground caught me off guard completely, and made me rethink my whole strategy against him because C-Tram really was my original game plan to win, but had to adjust afterwards.
Yeah, I was, kind of half watching and, half doing something else. And I assumed you would have had the win with Mamoswine and Heatran, and then all of a sudden I look over and you're losing. And that was kind
Yeah,
of interesting. What was, sort of, the decision making there that, caused you to protect that Heatran and ultimately lose that game?
yeah, I think that just the HP ground, kind of when I saw that, I was like, whoa, that caught me off guard. So obviously the right player there's just the Rock Slide and Eruption because if you get targeted by Bug Buzz, which was what ended up happening, the Heatran gets a full powered Eruption off with the Fire Gem and +1 from the boost from Flash Fire, which will probably pick up the KO. But even if it doesn't, Cresselia was in the back. But instead, I was like, oh, he's definitely gonna HP ground this. Might as well just save the Heatran. I don't really know what I was thinking there. I kind of think I just thought I had the victory in hand, and it's weird because this is something that I really rarely do. I think, but somehow I ended up making a huge mistake, and uh, Ryosuke obviously managed to capitalize off that. So caught me off guard for the first game, but I think I had to adjust pretty well for the second and third game.
Now, him not using swagger with his Thunderous, how relieved were you?
Yeah, when I went for the Thunder Wave on Tyranitar, I was just like, well, I'm not gonna see any repeats of Worlds, but it's funny actually. Tyranitar was, I think, the Pokemon that I kind of wish I brought to the matchup in Game 3 that I ended up losing in the end. But when I saw Thunder Wave go off and Tyranitar actually managed to attack through, I was definitely relieved.
And Rotom, actually hitting a move here, an important move at that. Uh, was that, finally, Rotom finally doing something.
Yeah, definitely.
How did that make you feel?
It was just like, why couldn't you have done this during Worlds? But at the same time, better late than never. So I'm glad we got to stream this. I think that was really fun, and I think really Ryosuke is going to pretty much be my rival for the rest of I think the time I play Pokemon, just like Wolfie is like kind of to Ray. But he's a great guy. It's a lot of fun. I know this is more of a casual thing, but it's still nice to like have some competitive experience, especially against such a great player like him. And it's an honor battling him, and I knew he knew most of my team since it was pretty much my Worlds team, but with Mamoswine, but it was a good adjustment that I made, and I think it really paired well. I had a really nice team matchup against his team.
Now, was the Mamoswine you saw Ryosuke lose to Mamoswine at Worlds Finals? Was that part of your motivation behind selecting Mamoswine?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking of ways to really perfect, my VGC 13 team and small adjustments I could make. And I think Arash's Mamoswine definitely inspired me to put Mamoswine on my team because it kind of replaces that whole ground, the physical ground sweeper that Landorus Therian had. And I like Landorus a lot, but I only use them mainly to U-turn or, get rock slides off or earthquakes, obviously. But the thing with Mamoswine is it gets the same earthquake, it gets the same rock slide, and it trades some base power. But with the choice scarf, it shuts down Thundurus and Landorus Therian completely, which was obviously my biggest enemy in the semifinals. And so I was wondering, if I had that in the semis and if I had that over Landorus on my team, could I have managed to squeak out a win in top four? And I think it definitely improves my matchup against Thundurus, which was why I don't think I saw it during today's set against him very often. He only brought it against he only brought it once, and at that point it was Mamoswine was gone. But yeah, I think seeing him kind of get destroyed by Mamoswine in the finals was like, oh, maybe that's the one Pokemon I kind of need to perfect my VGC 13 team, and it's a change I've been playing around with a lot, and I really don't regret it. I think it's a really great change. Mamoswine is a really fun Pokemon, and didn't realize how great it was until Arash won Worlds with it, and after that I was like, oh, this is something I should actually try, and it definitely fits the role.
Now, was Mamoswine a Pokemon you considered before, or was Rosh eye-opening for you?
I never considered it before, really. I played it in the finals of Nationals in 2012, but it was kind of underwhelming there, and so I didn't give it much thought. But now after seeing a Rush win with it, I tried it out, and I was like, it's not bad at all. So don't regret it at all. And I give a lot of credit to Arash. I think it took a lot of guts to really bring that to Worlds, but obviously one of his MVPs in the finals. No regrets there at all.
And it looks like we're getting into this game here. Kind of a glare, but it looks like Boumanda's using Sableye, Volcarona, Abomasnow, Garchomp, Tyranitar, and Drifblim. Aaron, what do you think of that Drifblim there? And the double ghost.
Yeah, the entire team is just wacky, Sableye and Drifblim. First of all, two Pokemon that are really uncommon. Sableye managed to top 8 Worlds this year, actually. A German player used it, but Drifblim I've just never seen before. Garchomp, not as popular as Landorus Therian. I mean, because of Landorus Therian, there was only one Garchomp at Worlds in Masters this year. And it did end up making top cut as well. Tyranitar, obviously, a very common Pokemon. Volcarona, also very common. Abomasnow's interesting because now he has the option of double weather, which is pretty rare. And, of course, the Drifblim just... I'll be interested in seeing what that does.
And it looks like Boumanda does lead both his ghosts here against Ryuzaki's Tornadus and Landorus Therian. What are you even expecting from this Drifblim and the Sableye? Both could potentially, have really odd movesets.
Yeah, I've got no clue about the ghosts. They could literally do anything. Sableye, my favorite use of Sableye is for the Will-O-Wisp. So, I really like that one. The Drifblim, I honestly, I don't even know what its base stats are. I don't know what anything. I just have no clue what it does. So, I guess we'll have to find out. And Trista, she does have 2 physical sweepers, so the Will-O-Wisp is huge here.
Yeah, we won't see that Drifblim in this game. Instantly knocked out. And so Boumanda's immediately, dug a hole, and Trista's in the driver's seat, especially against such a weird Pokemon in Sableye. What are you expecting from Boumanda's team here now? I mean, that Drifblim did nothing, and what could he do, or she? I'm not even sure, to get out of this weird situation.
Yeah, I'm still a bit behind. I think my stream is like really lagging a lot right now, but yeah, I mean, it looks like Trista kind of came out of that turn with pretty much a free KO. Yeah, it's loaded for me now, and I don't know what you're trying to do if you're Boumanda there. Obviously, the Drift Bloom is your gimmick Pokemon, so you're gonna want to try to pull something off with it. But Trista not taking any chances, eliminating it from the field right away. Um, yeah, you're getting it off the field, which is huge. And I mean, if I'm Trista, I must be really happy because I don't want to deal with gimmicky Pokemon that I really haven't seen before. And the rest of his team is fairly standard, and I think Landorus Therian does a really great job dealing with it.
Now, Landorus Therian also, has to deal with things like Abomasnow on Bomanda's team. Abomasnow isn't a super common Pokemon, but we saw it on, I believe, Sajin had it in
Mm-hmm.
the
Seijon
top
and
eight.
Bengold.
So yeah, so Abomasnow making waves, and it's not here, but is that potentially a Pokemon that Tristan needs to worry about?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't catch all of Trista's team, but I know she's pop. I mean, she loves running Pokemon like Rotom, Heat, Tyranitar, Metagross, and all of those will fare very well against Abomasnow. Abomasnow is one of those Pokemon that is really good, but at the same time loses to a lot of stuff. So it's all about time management and bringing it out when necessary. There are a lot of times where it can do absolutely nothing for you and get KO'd instantly, and there are other times where it can just take complete advantage of the field.
And we see Trista bring in a Gastrodon. That is a Trista Pokemon. She's she never leaves home without it. What's it do? Is it doing something in this matchup that another Pokemon that like Swampert or other ground types that you know that Gastrodon isn't can't really do things offensively, but
Yeah,
it does have that defense.
yeah, I mean, Gastrodon's one of those Pokemon we always talk about because it's like, oh, it's so bulky, but it doesn't do anything. It just sits there, and I don't think any of Gastrodon's actually made it into the top cut of Worlds this year. But at the same time, it's still a very viable Pokemon because obviously it's so bulky and it has. I like its typing especially, and right now for Trista, it's like you're at the situation where your opponent can't do too much to it, but the thing about dealing with Gastrodon is, you just keep on hammering it with attacks. A couple counters here, uh, get it burned, maybe confuse Ray, and it'll slowly go down. But of course, if Trista has Recover on her Gastrodon, makes it a lot harder. And so her priority, I like her position right now. She's Tornadus, obviously not gonna want to stay in against a Tyranitar, um, and a Sableye unless it has superpower, but. It's yeah, it's kind of a weird matchup, but I think Triss has a huge advantage just because she eliminated the Drifloon right away, and so there's not really much her opponent can even do, and she's starting off with the 4-3 advantage. It's just a huge momentum swing.
Now, you think Driftblim is actually such a huge threat that she absolutely needed to get rid of it right away?
That's a good question. Perhaps not, but when I deal with opponents like that, I definitely want to eliminate the Pokemon that I've never seen before right away because sometimes they can just pull out a move you never see and kind of blow you away right away and just get a huge advantage. One example I can think of this is when Sejun Park was using Lumineon and Shuckle. Those two Pokemon you really probably haven't ever seen in the metagame, and so he was able to get his whole setup going with Shuckle with Shuckle's ability and using Liepard to fake tears it and Shell Smash to boost its defenses, and then he would Toxic Stall pretty much to win the game. And so you don't want to go up against stuff like that because it's just you have no idea what may be coming your way. And so I like Trista just taking care of it right away, picking up the KO, getting rid of it before it can do anything, because then you're playing against Pokemon that you're probably pretty familiar with.
No, unfortunately, Trista's stream, the source stream is really sort of laggy, so bear with us. A lot of stuff we can't really tell what's going on half the time, so uh, you could see about as much as us, unfortunately. So you don't need to adjust your TV screens or anything. Just it's the lag we're having to deal with here.
Yeah, but it looks like the Tyranitar did come in, managed to get paralyzed, but um, Bomb her opponent's I'm blanking out right now. Took a huge chunk of damage.
Bomanda.
Boumanda, there you go. Uh, Around 25% right now, and that's really huge. I mean, I think Sable is one of those Pokemon that you that's really annoying to deal with because it gets access to Prankster, Will-O-Wisp, Confuse Ray, Recover, stuff like that. But at the same time, it doesn't really have any attacks other than say Foul Play. So the trick with dealing with Sable is just keep on attacking around it, and then in the end, have two or three Pokemon just keep on targeting with attacks, and with the sand damage and everything, it'll rack up. It does go for the taunt on Tyranitar, which is an interesting move, but I don't really quite understand that.
Did it go the taunt on Tyranitar? I thought it went on Gastrodon, unless, yeah, you're a little bit ahead of me.
Yeah, look, this lag stream is just really laggy, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, it's something we have to deal with. Actually, that Tyranitar, Bomanda's Tyranitar used Thunder Wave. Now, that's not really a move we see on Tyranitar very often. Do you know some of the reasoning behind why they picked Thunder Wave there?
that's an interesting question. Did the Thunderwave come out from his Tyranitar, you said?
Yeah, it came out from his Tyranitar.
Yeah, that's an interesting move choice. Tyranitar are often, known for having a moveset of just Rock Slide, Crunch, Low Kick, Protect, but obviously that's not the case. It actually gets access to a lot more moves. This year we saw Ryosuke use. He didn't even use Low Kick. He opted for Sunny Day and Fling. And although obviously won Japanese nationals with it and got second at Worlds with it. And Snake actually used Thunderwave Tyranitar in 2012 Worlds with the Pasho Berry to really help him with the Rain matchup. And I'm not a huge fan of it because I think their Pokemon that can use Thunderwave better, most notably, obviously, Thundurus Incarnate form. But it is a move that can work occasionally, but you'll have to cut a move for it. And in this case, you normally end up cutting Crunch. Low Kick too. It's between the two of them, but Crunch is really the move that people tend to cut from Tyranitar just because against Pokemon, say Latios and Cresselia, you can take them out one-on-one just because you're so bulky and you have access to the Sandstorm that boosts your special defense.
Now, it looks like Bomanda lost their Tyranitar. So they're potentially down. Yeah, okay, it looks like 4-2 potentially. I don't think Trista's lost a Pokemon yet. Can't really tell due to the lag. But let's see what's coming out. It looks like a Garchomp. So, Garchomp against Trista's 4 of Tyranitar, Gastrodon, Tornadus, and Landorus. You see any out for Bomanda here? I assume Trista can easily wrap this up here with Landorus.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Sandvale is always a thing, and the Sableye does have Confuse Ray, so a combination of that is, like, obviously something you never want to deal with. But yeah, I mean, it's rough for Boumanda, and yeah, we do see the Confuse Ray from the Sableye go onto the Landorus. So I will be confused for quite a while now. And the Landorus is confused. Will it get an attack off? Ooh, it looks like it's not able to. Garchomp goes for a Swords Dance. Oh my goodness.
The Landorus actually switched in, so
okay,
it wouldn't attack this turn anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually switched to the Japanese stream now because there's pretty much no lag on that, so it's easier to see. And the Gastrodon goes for the Scald onto Garchomp, which does break its substitute. But
all right, now I'm on the Japanese stream as well. Hopefully, Rashawn can help us out there, help the viewers out. So we're not just talking to everyone, with information that no one else knows.
yeah, this is really rough. We've been barely able to commentate properly on this game just because the stream was so laggy. Once again, a testament to really how poor our ability to stream is, even with all the modern technology. But it looks like Bomanda's got a pretty smooth stream going up, so if Rashawn could switch to that, it would be really good.
Now, so with the Swords Dance Garchomp, something we almost never see anymore, is that potentially his key to victory here?
I think so. Honestly, I mean, he's got the Confuse Ray to help him with to give him a better chance, and we do see the Landorus there and hit itself in confusion, and Garchomp going for another substitute, obviously wanting to hope for some Confuse Ray or Sandvale hacks, but Gastrodon is able to get off another Scald. and it did break the substitute last time. So we'll see if it does this time, and it does. And that Sableye looks like it's going to go down from sand damage, and it does, yeah. And so I think Boumanda it's his Garchomp against the world.
Yeah, it's a Garchomp against the world here. I believe Ryuzaki still has all 4 of her Pokemon, so
Yeah, like
yeah, Boumanda is in a tight spot.
yeah, now all Ryuzaki has to do is just switch out the Landorus, because now without Sableye, spamming Confuse Rays, Landorus is going to be able to get an Intimidate off and get rid of its Confusion status just by switching out, switching back in. So I think it's pretty easy. I mean, Ryuzaki is it has this game pretty comfortably won, but I mean, Garchomp has Sandville, and you never know. Things can happen, and it does have Swords Dance too, which is a really interesting option, but it's not every day you see Swords Dance and Substitute because it's so difficult to fit on a moveset. So I'm curious as to what Boumanda's last 2 moveset are, because, you'd expect Dragon Claw, Earthquake, or Protect, so it's definitely a combination of those 3, but it's hard to envision a Garchomp only running 1 physical attack, so I'd have to guess that he actually does not run Protect on his Garchomp, which is pretty strange, but makes sense given his moveset. But I don't think Boumanda will be able to pull out with a win in this game, especially after how poorly the first turn went for him.
I think it kind of makes sense, not to have Protect here, due to, Latios isn't a huge threat considering Boumanda has Tyranitar, potentially Abomasnow could be doing, protect that Garchomp. I don't think we've seen all of Sableye's moves, but, Confuse Ray absolutely helps there. So, Swords Dance Garchomp suddenly, a monster here. But,
Yeah.
it looked like, I believe that was a Dragon Claw didn't do very much damage to that Landorus there.
Yeah, that's actually really underwhelming. I'm not sure what I thought Garchomp went. I thought the Landorus hit itself in confusion there. But I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, at this point it's kind of a lost cause. Surprised to see Trista not switch out her Landorus, but it really doesn't matter. It's 4 versus 1 right now, and there's really not much.
Dual Chop.
Oh.
Okay. So there's one of your moves, Dual Chop. So there's the risk of running Dual Chop over a move, a more consistent move like Dragon Claw. What are the advantages of using Dual Chop over Dragon Claw?
Yeah, with Dual Chop you get to A, break Focus Sashes, and B, break through Hobberries, which actually aren't very common anymore. Dragon types have kind of lost their popularity really in the 2013 season. In 2012, everyone was kind of like, it's a staple. You need one on your team. You saw Latios, Hydreigon, Garchomp, really the most popular dragons, and all of them did exceptionally well at Worlds. And this year, it's not any different in the sense that dragons are still really powerful. Latios obviously won Worlds, but Garchomp not nearly as popular anymore because of Landorus Therian replacing kind of the whole physical ground type because of its stronger base attack. But in this one, yeah, I'm not sure. I think Garchomp really not able to do much in the end, and Dual Chop clearly a pretty underwhelming move, especially seeing how little damage it did. Well, actually, no damage it did because it did of the miss. So Trista will take that first game pretty comfortably, and actually just 1 game away from putting USA and winning the entire set for Team USA.
Now to remind everyone, this is just a friendly. Nothing is on the line outside of bragging rights.
Absolutely.
And you yourself, Babytron, and Ray, all 3 of you did excellent job in securing some really good victories in some tight games. Some of the best games I've seen, since Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get into game 2 here. Are you having any streaming issues here with the Japanese version?
No, the Japanese stream is going really clearly for me, so it should be good. How about your side?
All right. Yep, we're all good. So,
okay,
stick around. We're gonna be getting into game 2.
Yeah, once again, we apologize for streaming inconveniences, right? I mean, Paul and Scott talked a lot about this, but it's just incredibly difficult, really, to get a consistent stream going. And Rashawn puts a lot of work into it, so huge shout out to him because it's much more difficult to manage a stream than you probably think it is, with all the things behind what goes down. And there's so many factors that go into a proper stream, so it's really difficult to get all the pieces to come together at one point. But we do the best we can do here, and most of the time it works out. Often, you'll run into Wi-Fi delays and stuff like that, but that's just kind of what you have to expect when dealing with this kind of technology. And hopefully, we're able to, get some streaming, more proper streaming equipment in the future, and really make this a more pleasurable watching experience instead of kind of watching disconnections and poor, Wi-Fi and laggy battles overall.
Yeah, when we have live events, the streaming quality skyrockets immensely. As you saw at Worlds, there wasn't any disconnects or anything like that. In the next, I believe, 2 weeks now, we'll be streaming hopefully at regionals in NorCal regionals, Pleasanton. We're going to try to hit up most of the regionals, get some streams going there, where you'll see a lot better quality, what we can get when we have proper equipment going and not relying on Wi-Fi, things like that.
Yeah, and like you said, the technology is obviously there. It's just for more, players that want to do it by themselves, it's a lot more difficult. Obviously, Pokemon has all the proper equipment to put everything together, which is great. And the World Stream was phenomenal. It was really flawless in terms of commentating and quality, and they even had cameras for the players' reactions, which I thought was a really, really nice addition. I was really pleased to see that, but as for casual, more, I mean, for us, it's not as easy. We don't have access to really all the technology, and I really want a capture card to kind of continue streaming at home and making to make watching and doing these battles a lot easier. But they're expensive and it's pricey, and it's you have to mod a 3DS kind of to put everything together. And so hopefully we find a more affordable way as we move on to Generation 6.
It looks like still waiting. Boumanda's stream is offline for me. Is that the case for you, Aaron?
Yeah, it is the case for me too.
Okay, so we're kind of in the dark here. Let me tab over to Ryuzaki's stream, see if she has anything going, and we can try to keep you guys up to date.
Yeah.
Again, we apologize for these delays, and we can't apologize enough for how bad this can get.
Yeah, I'm glad. I think
looks like
we managed to see some great sets in the past few games. I think they were a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got to showcase those games just because I think Ray, Huryu, Brendan, and Junpei, all really great players. Consider Japan's and some America's top. So they were a lot of fun, and I actually had a lot of fun watching them. Sometimes, with the technical difficulties, you kind of have to grind it through, but as long as we end up getting good games and the viewers enjoy it, that's the most important part.
Yeah, hopefully Ryuzaki maybe saved the battle so we could upload it to YouTube and you can watch it later. Because right now, unfortunately, quality, you can't really tell what's going on at all. So we want you to be able to see which could potentially be the clinching game for the United States here.
Yeah, once again, to stress the whole point, like, this is a friendly, so nothing really much on the line here other than bragging rights, but I think the best part about doing this is just getting a chance to battle your friends from Japan or, another country you don't normally get to battle very often just because it's kind of difficult to set up battles with them. So, yeah, a time like this, you get to have some great battles, you get to watch some great battles, and it's a great experience for everyone, especially for people who are trying to get more experience in learning how to battle. And also, I think for me, it's a good experience to get with casting and commentating.
Yeah, it looks like Ryuzaki is still waiting for Boumanda to accept the challenge. I'm not sure if there's miscommunication where Boumanda thinks it's only best of one. I'll try to keep you guys updated. Let's see.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to watch another game though, just because I think the first game was so underwhelming and Trista really kind of destroyed that one. So, kind of interesting. I want to see what Boumanda can do to adjust because, most notably the Drift Bloom, which I was most curious about, kind of went down before it did a single thing. And the rest of his team was kind of underwhelming. I kind of wish Saboy had Will-O-Wisp because I think that burn is really one of the best status condition. I mean, obviously paralysis is great, but burn is my favorite status condition, especially at Worlds. And so I was kind of disappointed to see that there was no Will-O-Wisp on the Sableye, but there is Confuse Ray.
Now, what about Confuse Ray versus Swagger? Is there any reason to use Confuse Ray over Swagger, which seems to be the more popular move?
Confuse Ray I really just have not seen other than on Sableye. For Thundurus, which is the main, fender of Swagger. You have Thundurus, you have Liepard. Those are the main two. I think Swagger is just a lot better. The attack rate boost is huge because it actually can end up doing a significant amount of damage, as you saw in the semifinals this year at Worlds, where my Landorus hit itself in confusion. I took like 61 damage just from confusion, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, Confuser, it's a nice move, but one, I don't like there's not much to gain from it, and it's really difficult put on a Pokemon because most Pokemon really have better moves. And it looks like we're still trying to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, Junpei tweeted at Trista here to please wait. I assume Boumanda has something going on that is more pressing than a Pokemon battle. We'll see what happens. I know this is getting kind of tiring on the viewers as well as us to commentate this. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we'll be back in a few moments. Stick around. Hopefully they get this sorted out. Hello?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry
All
about
right.
that.
So,
Looks like
okay,
we're
we're
finally
back.
back.
Rashawn, which is the source stream we're using right now?
Uh, Obviously, Trista got the upper edge from this the last time where she picked up a KO on Drifblim right away. So Boumanda will obviously try to adjust from that and not get KO'd with against the Landorus Therian. And so he may want to consider a switch or faking out the Landorus this time. But Drifblim, probably Boumanda's ace on this team, going to conserve it, but he does opt to fake out the Tornadus again, which is really confusing. But the Landorus goes for a Stone Edge onto the Driftbloom, and it hangs on this time with 24 HP. And heals a bit from the Citrus Berry, bringing it back to around 80 HP. And we'll finally get to see what this Driftbloom was meant to do. Tornadus flinches from the fake out from Sableye, and oh brother, Driftbloom goes for the minimize.
All right. So, images of, what was it, 2012 Worlds and the bottom table, minimize Drifblim. I believe Drifblim uses Unburden here, so its speed should be doubled and makes it even faster to get another minimize off before either of Trista's Pokemon here can touch it. So, suddenly, barring, getting some hits, that Drifblim's in a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely. We see the Confuse Ray go off onto Tornadus, and another double team, minimize, excuse me, from Driftbloom. And I mean, the strategy is obviously something that's very, very boring to watch. And the Landorus misses its attack, and Tornadus will hit itself in confusion. So, perfect turn for Boumanda there, getting off another minimize, and Trista's Pokemon are not able to attack. And this is giving me a flashback towards Worlds, and it's not fun.
Yeah, when, all the odds are tilted against your favor with things like confusion and minimize here that we see here. In addition to things like Thunder Wave that could be a factor, it's, suddenly difficult to do any sort of damage, and it's just tough to do anything at all. So, unfortunately, you have to deal with it. We'll see what happens here. Suddenly everything's on Trista's side is confused due to Confuse Ray. I guess that, is the reason why Boumanda is using Confuse Ray over Swagger. Confuse Ray can't, is not going to miss where
Right, and
Swagger can.
we see the Lander switch out to Cresselia, which gets hit by a Confuse Ray right away. Drifbloom sets up a substitute now, as Tornadus tries to attack, but will not able to get it off again. And I think we are in for a long match now, Paul. This is going to be a lot of confusion everywhere, and suddenly Sableye looks a lot better this game than it did last game. At first, I was kind of confused as to why I didn't have Will-O-Wisp, especially on a stall team like this, but Confuse Ray makes a lot of sense, and Taunt does too. And the thing about Boumanda is you can't rely just on confusion damage. You're gonna want to probably start attacking sometime soon, but Tornadus hits itself in confusion for the third time in a row. Half chance each time, so that's a 1/8 chance. And Cresselia does get the Ice Beam off, and it does connect with the Drifbloom. But the question is, will it break that substitute? It's super effective, but Drifbloom is a relatively bulky Pokemon, but it does take out the substitute, and Drifbloom is now only hanging on with 24 HP.
Do you know if Drifblim gets Roost? Because that could potentially, come here to just make it an exceptionally long game for Drista.
That is a good question. I am honestly not sure. I would lean towards yes, but I guess we're about to find out. We see the taunt from
I mean,
Sableye go on to... Oh! The Baton Pass. I expect the Garchomp coming out right now.
Okay, so I could see, where this team is starting to, take shape, where the Drifblim would baton pass to an exceptionally fast and hard to hit Garchomp that also has Swords Dance, and then, oh, yeah, so, suddenly this Garchomp is threatening a sweep, just by being Garchomp and having, was it 2 minimizes, which is 4 stages of evasion. On top, I don't believe the unburdened boost is baton passed, so it is a normal speed Garchomp, I believe.
Yeah, and
But
Trista finally.
Tornadoes finally does hit.
Oops, sorry, cut off there. But yeah,
But is it too
what
little,
is?
too late potentially? Just because Garchomp is such a strong Pokemon, especially when it's got Sand Veil on top of 2 minimizes.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. That Garchomp is very bulky too, just by looking at its HP stat. I'd imagine it actually runs basically no attack EVs and probably all defense. So, we did see it carry leftovers earlier, and I expect it to have a lot of bulk, especially on the special defense side, enough to take an Ice Beam easily from Cresselia. And with Sand Up and all those minimizes, it's gonna be incredibly difficult. And I think we might actually see Garchomp just pull a sweep here. Trista's gonna really have to hope that she's able to hit the Garchomp really at any point. But I expect her to. She does have the Landers in the back, so as we see here, she can keep on switching it back and forth out for the Intimidates. But switching is pretty much useless if Garchomp is able to keep on Swords Dancing and no attacks actually manage to hit it.
Yeah, that Garchomp also does have Substitute, so if you do hit it that once, it could just immediately substitute, regain all that health back with leftovers, and suddenly you're back to square one, and
Yeah,
you got to hit it
and
again. So
it's like
hopefully this doesn't become a big strategy because like we saw in the first game, you don't get it off, you're really behind, and here Boumanda did manage to get it off, and we'll see if it does lead to the win.
and we see a
I imagine
substitute
it
come
will.
from Garchomp, and Tyranitar goes for the Ice Beam, knocking out the Tornadus. Wow. Ice Beam, we talked about different moves on Tyranitar. Thunder Wave was one of them, and the Ice Beam, really interesting move choice. Surprised to see it not go onto Landorus and see it hit the Tyranitar instead, but once again, this Garchomp is looking really good right now with a substitute, leftovers, and Sandveil, and the ability to Swords Dance. A couple of misses here and there, you could get to +6 in no time with Swords Dance.
Yeah, I mean, do you even need the +6? Intimidate's not going to do anything now with behind a substitute. So, Boumanda is looking really good here.
Yeah,
I can hear
absolutely.
Trista raging from across the globe here. Yeah, I would want to face something like this. Here's our
I,
friend Driftblim again.
and we see the Earthquake go off, but it won't do anything after that Drifblim. And I can't believe I'm actually seeing this work before my very eyes. But I'm really happy. I mean, obviously it's never fun watching this, but at the same time, it's exciting to see that it actually worked because I've never seen Baton Pass actually been used viably in VGC, and I think this is probably the perfect use of it. I mean, baton passing, evasion boosts onto a Garchomp, under Sandveil with substitute and leftovers and maximum bulk. Like, doesn't get any better than that. And Garchomp we already see has gotten one Swords Dance up. Give it a few more turns, and it'll be a monster in pretty much everything, offensive and defensively.
Yeah, the only way Trista could eke out a win here is double chop missing, and we did see that earlier. So it is a potential win condition for Trista, but she's got to hit some moves.
Yeah, I mean, she'd have to
And there's
hit.
another Swords Dance.
She'd have to hit a lot of attacks here. I mean, obviously, people think I really don't think the Ice Beam from Cresselia would KO. I really think the Scarchump is bulky enough to survive that, which is why I actually think Boumanda already has this game won. Because just based off looking at that HP stat, it's got to be bulky enough. And I've seen Garchomps live through Ice Beams from Cresselia, survive, excuse me, through Ice Beams from Cresselia in the past without a Yache Berry, and in this case. The Earthquake would break it to substitute, but the leftovers has healed it almost all the way back to full HP, and so hitting an Earthquake and an Ice Beam might not even be enough to really seal the victory and KO that Garchomp. But if that is able to happen, things might look better for Trista. But Boumanda, this Garchomp might just end up sweeping the entire thing.
Yeah, like you said, I really don't see a way out for Trista here. I guess, at this point, she's just trying to get more information from, what Boumanda has. We've seen some interesting moves from that Tyranitar, Ice Beam, and Thunder Wave. We haven't talked much about that Thunder Wave other than it being a weird move, but combined with Confuse Ray, all these minimizes, Thunder Wave makes, it's another percentage chance to not attack that turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's kind of a beautiful setup, actually. I don't like to compliment this kind of strategy, but uh, I'm really surprised to see it work. And I'm actually, like I said, I've been giving Boumanda kind of a lot of praise. And wow, Cresselia hits that attack and gets the Ice Beam onto Garchomp, finally breaking that substitute. But I have to imagine we'll see another substitute come right back next turn. But once again, talking about Boumanda's side, just really kind of beautiful setup. It's it's very difficult to pull off if you ask me, but it doesn't require very much setup. It's like kind of two turn. Oh no, is that a disconnection? That is a disconnection. I think I'm gonna cry right now.
Oh, I imagine they have to give that win to Boumanda.
Yeah.
I just don't see a way out for Trista here.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you can't really replay that.
This is pretty much impossible to replay because you can't control the factor of whether you'll hit or miss an attack. I'm hoping we just give the win to Boumanda, but I mean, it would have been near impossible for Trista to mount to come back there. I mean, it was not impossible, but just given how difficult it would have been to even hit the Garchomp, she would have had to have a lot of lucky rolls. And once again, I can't stress how I think that how bulky that Garchomp is. Trista telling me to shut up. No. Clearly she does not want to replay it, but she says no wins are given away. And we're currently deciding a call from Captain Ray Rizzo. Ray Rizzo has given the way to Boumanda, so we are going into a game 3.
Yeah, I mean, I could see kind of her point, not giving away wins, but that's not really a game. You can recreate, and I don't know. I mean, she only needs to win one more anyways. She already won game 1, so we'll be going into, I assume, a game 3 here since Captain Ray Rizzo is going to give the win to Boumanda here. It looks like the Japanese contingent is giving their thanks to Ray.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully we don't get another disconnect. That is unfortunate, even though we don't really want to see something like that going on. Disconnect such a late in the game, and
I think
this
like
is also
frustrating because
continue, Aaron.
Oh yeah, no, I mean frustrating obviously for Trista, because it was still a game that was obviously winnable, but given the fact that it's like 1:42 a.m. on the East Coast already, and we still have 3 more sets to get through, including Maryland and Hiroshi Yamamoto, which I actually kind of want to watch. At this point, it's just like, do we really want to watch another 20-minute, 30-minute game of Trifloum using Minimize and Garchomp and Sandville and everything? Let's just move on to the 3rd game and hope things go a bit better this time.
Yeah, she just needs to connect a Stone Edge and crit. I mean, not that hard, right? And then, once that happens, get rid of that Drift Blim. Suddenly, she's in such a prime position to win that game because Boumanda's entire strategy revolves around that Drift Blim.
Exactly, and we saw Trista obviously. The reason why she won the previous game was just because she took care of it right away, and yeah, pretty much. Well, and had no other way to do it. And that was a really underwhelming game, but we saw how scary the setup can be if he does manage to get it all going. So if you're Trista, you kind of have to hope for a Stone Edge crit this time again.
It looks like they're seeking participants here. Still waiting on Trista, I believe, to get on. Hopefully this next game goes either way really quickly because I can tell it's, even though it is a fun strategy, it's not fun for some of the viewers and the person playing against it. It's also a strategy you can't really get away with in a 20-minute game in real regionals, nationals, and worlds. So this is something you could really only see in a friendly or even Wi-Fi tournaments online, where the time limit is 60 minutes. But here there is no time limit, so you could get away with things like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I just this is once again it's a nice strategy, and I think it's definitely a lot better than say what Pokora brought to Worlds in 2012. But at the same time, it's just like at one point it gets really boring. I honestly think, and it's kind of just the factor of who gets the rolls in their end, who you roll the dice, and who gets luckier in the end. And um, Boumanda, if you are able to get if you get if you are able to get your setup, then it's huge for you. And yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about here. I think it's just if he sets up his strategy and gets some lucky rolls, he wins. If Trista's able to get the KO, she wins. And that's really all there is to it.
And it looks like they're getting into game 3 here. Basically winner take all. You can see Trista's team on the top of the screen here. Is there anything that could potentially help with the minimize strategy outside of just trying to hit your attacks?
There really isn't, I'm looking at that Rotom Heat, maybe Rotom Heat, and it's just Drifloon is so bulky too. I don't think Triss has any way to one-hit KO it without a critical hit on her side, so it's guaranteed, at least one minimize before passing it off. Maybe something like Rotom Heat and Tyranitar to counter that Drifloon, but that's really difficult. She's gonna obviously want to take it out right now, but I'm not sure if she has the firepower to do so. And maybe banking off a Landorus Therian crit to win the game right away is your best shot to um, take the win from the start. Because if that is if the Drifloon is able to pass off its boost to Garchomp, it's Trista's in for a rough time.
Now, is opting for the Stone Edge really the safest play? She did that the previous 2 games. It worked once, and it didn't work the second game. So, that 80% is that really the way to go, or like you said, go for the safe 100% play with Thunderbolt and Crunch. They get both hit, uh, you know, before Drifblim actually gets an attack off. You also get the sand with Sandstorm. The additional damage can add up very quickly, especially when you're Driftblim that you know is going to take damage from Sandstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Although it does, again, it helps out that Garchomp with the Sand Veil. So it's a double-edged sword there.
I think,
Bowman is
yeah,
probably going
right.
to bring his own Tyranitar, so at the end it probably doesn't matter. So you really got to focus on what you need to get rid of that Driftblim. And like I said, I see the same kind of outs you do, and Trista is going to need a little luck on her side to pull it out. But you know, for her sake, playing against Minimize is not fun, and for her sake, hopefully she can pull out a win here and seal it for herself and Team USA in this final 5th-gen international friendly with Japan versus the United States.
Yeah, I mean, also another way, if I'm Trista, for me to deal with this is apply as much pressure as possible. Uh, I might actually consider even going with Cresselia and Tyranitar or Rotom or Landorus. And what the Cresselia does is, you get your Stone Edge or Crunch or Thunderbolt off onto the Drifloon, bring it down to its Citrus Berry, it heals, and Unburden activates. But the following turn, you're gonna have to either Baton Pass or go for another Minimize. And if I'm able to hit either an Ice Beam or a Slash, the super effective move from any of the 3 Pokemon that I'm partnering with, all those Minimizes will go to waste. If you do decide to Baton Pass into Garchomp, you're only at +1 Invasion, and my Cresselia might actually just be able to hit its Ice Beam, and I'm probably going to double target the Drifloon that turn. So pick up a KO before the Evasion actually even does anything. So you want to minimize your chances of any luck happening here, and the best way to do that is to target the Drift Bloom right away and anything it may potentially baton pass into.
Now, like you said, that Garchomp is exceptionally bulky, which also limits its offensive potential. So, something like Cresselia that, kind of didn't matter, didn't mind Garchomp at all before, suddenly doesn't mind Garchomp even, more. It could take, a few dual chops, and, dual chomp has that potential to miss. So, Cresselia is suddenly looking like a good Pokemon.
Yeah, definitely. At first I commented, "Oh, it's strange that Garchomp, Garchomp is being used over the more popular Landorusarian form, but it makes a lot of sense now. Sandville's really big. I think it's really important for this matchup, and it also gets access to Swords Dance, which Trista's the excuse me, which Landorusarian in general just does not have access to. And it looks like we're finally starting the battle. But once again, I think Trista's
It looks like we're
strategy
getting to
here.
game 3 here.
Yep, Trista's strategy here is get rid of Driftbloom or anything it may baton pass into, and Boumanda's strategy is don't let that happen. Set up, get that Garchomp sweep, because that will win me the game. And Trista opted to go for Tornadus and Landorusarian again for the third time in a row. As Boumanda leads with his Sableye and Driftbloom. So we've seen the same leads all 3 games.
Yeah, so like you said, I kind of have to question the Landers choice there. It does get the Intimidate onto the Driftblim, which lower, when it baton passes to Garchomp, Garchomp has a lowered attack stat, but you still have to hit your moves here, and Stone Edge, is known figuratively as Stone Miss, so she needs to hit it and get a good roll. So, she needs a lot of luck on her side, just to be in a position to get a lot more luck on her side.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, the fake out goes on to the Tornadus, and Landorus does go for the Stone Edge, and it still hits. Just able to hit 3 for 3, and once again, Drifloon able to hang on with 24 HP, healing back with a Citrus Berry, and you'd have to imagine it's going for the double team this turn.
It's actually a minimize, which
minimize, excuse me. Yep.
Yeah, that's it sharply boosts evasion, so
+2.
Yeah, 1 stage higher than a double team.
Right. So it only needs 3 to max out.
And I think even before Boumanda didn't even go for the max. I could be wrong. That game kind of laggy for me at around that period. So we'll see what happens here. Trista, if she hits this move, suddenly she looks really good and could easily take the rest of the game, but she needs to hit the move.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to ignore last game, Trista hit herself in confusion 3 times in a row with Tornadus, which is huge on Boumanda's side because you're avoiding attacks for 3 whole turns, and that's 3 whole turns, nothing happens. We see Confuse Ray go on to Tornadus, and Landorus going for a move, but it does miss the Drift Bloom, and Tornadus is confused, and it will hit itself in confusion, so we're seeing an exact repeat of what happened in the beginning of game 2.
Yeah, that Unburdened boost is, really proving its worth there.
Absolutely.
It's faster, so it gets that extra minimize before Landorus even gets to move again. So you survive that 1 attack, and suddenly you have +4 evasion, and it's difficult to hit. So we'll see what Boumanda decides to do here. If it's going to go direct baton pass or go for the minimize again, which is, I assume, is an extremely risky strategy.
Right. And if you're Boumanda, you probably want to capitalize and go on into the Garchomp right away now because you're going up against a confused Tornadus and what probably will be a confused Landorus. There's no Cresselia to threaten them 2 out right now. But, yeah, I mean, it's looking good for Boumanda once again. He's already at +4 with his Driftbloom, and with the Unburdened boost, he's guaranteed to get it off into the Garchomp. And if he is able to get to +6 and bring out the Garchomp in sand with the substitute, I don't even know what the percentage of that hitting of an 100% accuracy move hitting through sand is on that, but I'd have to imagine it's very, very low, and it would pretty much really give Boumanda the win almost, unless Trista was able to hit attacks after attacks.
And again, that Garchomp is extremely bulky, so even if she does hit the attack, it could, easily shrug it off and heal with leftovers, set up a substitute, do any sort of number of things to put itself in a good position to win regardless.
Right, we see a switch from the Landorus into the Cresselia as Sableye goes for the Confuse Ray. Not sure if they're actually repeating game 2 or not, because this is pretty much everything that happened there. The substitute goes onto the Drifloon, and Tornadus is confused, but it looks like you will be able to get the Flight Gem Acrobatics off this time. And it does go onto Sableye, and that should be a clean KO for Trista. And it is.
Now, was that actually a good play, though? I mean, I know Sableye is getting confusion off and, sort of damaging her chances of hitting.
Right.
But now you have Drifloon behind a sub and 2 minimizes. And it's probably ready to baton pass to Garchomp, who's then ready to, spam all its moves and just win. So, Trista's still in a tight spot despite getting that knockout.
Yeah, it's gonna be really difficult. I mean, she's gonna have to hit attacks. That's pretty much all this game comes down to. Can you hit attacks? And it's gonna be really annoying because you want to dedicate all your time to hitting that Garchomp, but at the same time you have to deal with Tyranitar, which is a huge offensive threat in itself. So for Trista, what do you do exactly? You've got Landorus, you've got Tornadus, you've got Cresselia, and Cresselia is really useless against the Tyranitar, but it's nice against Garchomp. The thing is, Tyranitar can easily take care of that. So, we see the +4 evasion boost. Drifloon under a substitute. Probably gonna go for the baton pass this turn as Tyranitar goes for a substitute. And it goes for yet another minimize, maximizing its odds.
Really maximizing the potential for missing for Trista here, and it seems like she didn't learn from game 2 there at all, and she's just kind of taking a back seat to Boumanda's strategy here. She's essentially just letting him get it off for free, and not really making the plays that she probably needs to.
Right.
It doesn't help that she's facing down confusion and a +6 evasion Drifblim, but it doesn't seem like she adjusted from game 2 at all.
Yeah, absolutely. She let the exact same happen, and there wasn't really much she could have done to prevent that, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, it's going to be really scary to beat that Garchomp now, who is at +6 evasion with Sand under substitute. See, the Tornadus going for a superpower, but the Tyranitar will have Chople Berry, so we'll be able to take that.
And it looks like she's opting to go not worrying about the setup over there, but you kind of have to question if that's the right play. Like we saw last game, once Garchomp gets set up, Garchomp's going to do some damage.
Right, and at this point, I think it's going to be very difficult for Trista to squeak out with the win now. She's going to have to keep on hitting attacks, and given the mathematical odds, it's just very unlikely.
Yeah, it's not even things like predictions. At this point, you just need to hit that. It is unfortunate when you play against strategies like this. Is it really skill involved, or is it just luck? And it's not the kind of game that we want to absolutely showcase. I think that was a big complaint about your match with Ryosuke at Worlds. Is it didn't really showcase a lot of the player skill involved in Pokemon, and right here, Trista is a Worlds level competitor, and you can't really tell that here because she can't hit an attack, and it's not really her fault at all, and the skill involved in setting up a couple minimizes, it isn't there. I mean, Boumanda could be top tier player and a lot of crap for minimize, but
yeah, absolutely.
The level of skill involved in clicking minimize a couple times just doesn't. There's no comparison to actual skill where Ryosuke did make some excellent plays at Worlds. So yeah, I mean, that answers some questions. Skill level, there was a reason that Poker Rob wasn't a bottom tables at Worlds
All right, I'm
2012.
back.
Minimize isn't, filled with skill. It's not a strategy you need skill to pull off. It's just, you're relying on luck, a ton of luck, and suddenly you look like an excellent player. But I hate to be giving someone a lot of crap over this, but it's just not, a lot of skill.
Yeah, definitely. And Trista not even able to get an attack off, Cresselia just hitting itself in confusion. Odds are obviously not working out in her favor, and I mean at this point I can't imagine like going up against a +6 Garchomp in sand with leftover sword sands and Sandville. It's probably your worst nightmare you could really ever face in VGC.
Yeah, this is something, that doesn't really keep you awake at night because it's not something you can really pull off in a real VGC. As I said, almost half an hour ago now, is with the time limits in VGC, regionals, nationals, and worlds, this is not something you can pull off, every day. You're lucky to pull it off once, especially with the 20-minute time limit. Uh, this Garchomp's really bulky. You gotta wonder if it's gonna get all, the damage off in enough time. I'm not sure how long this game has been going, but I think, Trista may have won on time already, so who knows? It's definitely not something that works in real life. Well, otherwise, we would have seen a lot more of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you do see this team in real life, you play to beat it right away with the timer. So if I see it, I'm going to take a minute every turn right away because I know the minimize is coming, and so my focus is just going to be KO 1 or 2 Pokemon, keep all my Pokemon alive. You're going to have to spend a few turns sword dancing, a few turns minimizing, a turn to baton pass, a turn to substitute, and that's like 6-7 turns of setup right there. So with using the timer to the fullest, I can probably make the match go 11 turns. So just stalling out those turns, calling protects, being able to avoid attacks from Pokemon, and from the Pokemon with all the Sword Dance boosts, and that's that. So this kind of game is it's silly because this kind of team really would never work in a real life tournament. It's frustrating, but for this kind of international friendly, it evidently does work, and it's kind of one of the things I like and dislike about this kind of tournaments because we get to see strategies that are kind of unconventional, but at the same time, you kind of roll your eyes because it's like, come on, this would never do well in real life.
Yeah, I have a lot of the same feelings. It's unfortunately this game has taken forever, and Trista still needs to break through a sub and do a lot of damage to the Garchomp. So I don't see an out for her. So she does hit this Scald, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
And there's a lot of Japanese text going on. I have no idea what it's saying, but it looks like that is an earthquake coming down, and it is. And we'll see how much this earthquake does.
So,
oh, wow.
yeah, I believe you got 3 dance off already. So
yeah,
it's just formalities now. I don't see an out for Trista, fortunately. And at the end of the day, she doesn't really have to worry about something like this. So just show match, and I wouldn't be happy facing it. She doesn't have to worry about facing it at regionals in the next month.
Yeah, that was definitely the first time I've seen Drifloon being used like that well against a world caliber player. So it's not a strategy I like to see win, but I have to say it was really impressive. I've never given Garchomp that much time. Normally when I see Garchomp, I just think, oh, Sand Veil and Bright Powder. That's it. You lower my accuracy down a bit, but this is lowering your accuracy down to the point where you really can't even hit an attack at all. With Sword Dance, it's actually kind of a brilliant idea, but at the same time, it doesn't take much skill to, I think, really use properly, and I don't think he really made the best moves at every turn, but Trista's matchup was just not very fortunate against it, and really it's very difficult to really face up in general, and she would have had a really rough time regardless.
Yeah, and I think Garchomp missed a move there.
Yeah, most likely the dual chop we were talking about, but at this point, it's a one-on-one from guard chop and Cresselia.
Once it hits, it's probably a good game there, though.
Yep,
It's tough to say good game there.
pretty interesting set. Obviously frustrating for Trista, but really interesting use of Drift Bloom. And the first game, I'm glad I actually saw what it's meant to do, because it went down right away in the first turn in the first game, and he kind of lost us from that. So a nice win from Team Japan there, tying it at 3-1. I mean, bringing it up to 3-1 now.